Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Tophat. Back in 2020, Fraggle Rock Rock On premiered on Apple TV+. For my full opinion on it, check out my review, link in the description. All I have to say about it for right now is that, while it's entertaining, it wasn't the big triumphant return of Fraggle Rock I'd been hoping for. Back in January, a new show called Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock premiered. Guess what? It's the triumphant return of the Fraggles I've been waiting for. This is by far the best reboot I've seen since DuckTales 2017. I admit I was a little surprised that this show is a reboot. With the subtitle Back to the Rock, I thought it was going to be a sequel to the original show. This isn't a complaint, for the reboot idea works in the show's favor, especially given the death of Jerry Parks, the original Doc. I do have a few issues with the reboot, but I'll get to them later. So without further ado, let's begin. Unlike the original show, which was mostly episodic, Back to the Rock tells a story arc. It deals with the Fraggles getting a new waterfall for the Great Hall. This is a blessing for both the Fraggles and the Gorgs, for now they have more water. However, it's bad for a race called the Kraggles, for now they lost their water. Much of it deals with the Fraggles trying to find a way to get the Kraggles back their water, while at the same time keeping their newfound water. Red allows the Kraggles to live with them until the problem is solved, and the characters try to learn how to get along with the Kraggles. Like how the original show had the Fraggles, the Doozers, and the Gorgs try to learn to get along. There's also a story arc where Cotterpin discovers some sticky goo and does some experiments on it. Unfortunately, her friends give it to the architect before it was ready. They use it on their buildings, but the Fraggles hate the taste. So they just dump it into the river, which causes an environmental disaster. Now they have to find a way to clean it up. Both stories are interesting, and they fit very well with what I expect from Fraggle Rock. The original series was always about trying to understand people who are different than you. While it didn't really cover the environment as much as the reboot, they did do the River of Life episode that dealt with this topic. Like the original series, the reboot deals with other lessons. The one that stuck out to me the most was Red and the Big Jump. The episode is about Red inventing a new game where the participants have to jump into the river from way up high. Wembley doesn't feel comfortable making this jump, but Red kept insisting he do it. Wembley is so terrified about making the jump that he freezes with fear, literally. The big lesson this episode teaches is no means no. It's a pretty good lesson to teach, and honestly, I'm with Wembley. I wouldn't have wanted to make that big jump. Some have accused the reboot of hammering in their message. I do admit that the original tended to be a little more subtle. Honestly, I didn't think the reboot hammered in their message that much. Sure, they could have been a little more subtle, but then again, that might be because I'm an adult and I can pick up these things quicker than when I was a kid. Much like Rock On, only Karen Prier and Dave Goelz reprised their roles as Red, Boober, and Uncle Matt. Though Dave only does the voices and not the actual puppeteering. I'm not sure why that is, but it could be due to his age. The new cast does a great job with their characters, so no complaints there. I also like how Uncle Matt sends packages to Gobo from his travels. That's a pretty neat update. Icy Joe and the Fraggles are pretty interesting additions to the show. Now for the moment I'm sure you all been waiting for. My complaints against the reboot. I don't really like Moki's new look. I don't know why the others look as they did in the original, but she doesn't. My biggest problem is the hair. It just doesn't look right to me. My second complaint is probably going to get me in trouble with some people, but I didn't really care for the new Doc. Jerry Parks is a tough act to follow, so I understand that anyone they cast in this role won't live up to all my expectations. Having said that, I just can't accept Lily Cooper as Doc. I know a lot of people love her as Doc, and to be honest, she isn't horrible. It's just that she obviously was cast to score diversity points. I think it's lazy to race and gender swap a character instead of creating a new one. I didn't like it when the DuckTales reboot made Fenton Latino, but I was able to overlook it because he still acted like Fenton from the original show. Even if I were to look past the fact that Doc is now a black woman, she never really acts like Doc from the old show. In the original, Doc was an older man who loved to invent. He wasn't really trying to save the world with his inventions. He just loved inventing. He once spent a whole episode trying to sew a button on a fried egg, just for the sake of doing it. There were occasions where he hoped to make money or save the world with his inventions, but for the most part, he just did it because he loved inventing. Doc was kind of grumpy, but he was never mean. Nor did he ever try to act cool. This new Doc is a younger woman who is working on getting her PhD. Her inventing is related to her desire to deal with plastic water bottles ending up in the ocean. She also wants to make a difference, like her heroes. There's nothing wrong with giving this new Doc a deeper motive for her inventing. But I kinda miss the old Doc, where he didn't need a purpose to invent. The new Doc also seems a little too cool for me. If you like Lily Cooper as Doc, more power to you. For me, I'm sticking with Jerry Parks. The only thing I have left to say is that I hope Back to the Rock gets a season 2. I'm still mad that the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance never did. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.